If you're someone who finds themselves bored with small talk and seeking more deep and meaningful connections, then this is the video for you. In the next few minutes, I'm going to be sharing some tips around how you can skip the small talk and really start to build more deep and meaningful conversations and relationships with other people. My first tip to make the conversation more interesting for yourself and whoever you're speaking to is to always have some really interesting questions in your back pocket that you can ask to anyone. So whether you are networking or you're on a date or you just don't want to be bored at a party and feel like you're dying, always have some interesting questions at your disposal so that you know that when you strike a conversation with someone, you can always pull one of these questions out of your back pocket and generate a really interesting and engaging conversation. What you want to do is ask more insightful questions that gets the other person to share a little bit more about themselves, how they think, and what their ideas are. So an example of that is, what brought you here? I find that this is a really good entry point into a conversation because it allows the other person to share a mutual connection if you have one, or give you a sense of what is the motivator for them being at this event, or maybe bringing up an interest that they have that you also have and connect with. And when they give you their response, then you can start to listen more for details that you can follow up on to make the conversation more meaningful. Another question that I like to ask is, what do you like to do outside of this context? You can ask about hobbies or what someone does for fun outside of work. Or you can ask them about how they like to spend their free time. I think this is one of the most fun questions to ask someone because it really gives you insight into who they are, what they like to do, and what some of their goals are. Another question that I like to ask is there anything on your bucket list that you're trying to do this year? Now, I know that for some people, this question can feel a little weird. I don't think it's weird, and I'm usually the person who asks this kind of question. And as long as you can get over the feeling of this being a weird question, I would think that you'll find that most people respond well to this and they think that it's really interesting because it can open up a bunch of different threads in the conversation. They can tell you about a travel experience that they're really excited about. Maybe they're getting married or they have a huge life event that's coming up. Or maybe there is something really interesting like a hobby or a skill that they are working on this year as part of their bucket list or vision board that nobody ever asked them about because it's so obscure, but because you opened up the conversation, they light up because they get to talk about it. I think if you try the bucket list question, you'll find that there are going to be a lot of interesting bits about someone that you wouldn't typically be able to learn about, but opening up that gate so that they can share more about themselves makes the conversation more engaging and helps you skip right past the small talk. Another tip to skip the small talk and generate deeper conversations is really mirroring and matching the emotion. So we have to remember that whenever we are engaging in dialogue with another person, when the other person is speaking, they have the stage, but we are the audience. So if we are the audience, we want to participate as an audience member. We don't just want to be passive in the conversation, okay? We're not watching a movie where the other person on the other side of the screen can't see us. So in order for it to be a bi-directional experience and an interactive experience that makes the other person feel seen and heard, and also gives us a job of being actively engaged in the conversation so that we don't blank out or get distracted or miss a detail, we also want to be mirroring and reflecting their body language and tone to them. So this can be as simple as maintaining eye contact or nodding our heads or expressing a brief opinion. It could be as simple as that, saying, oh, I found that really interesting, but keep going. Or I think that's really interesting. I have a question about that, but please finish your thought. Jumping in with these little thoughts and also maintaining eye contact and presenting ourselves with forward-leaning body language helps the other person feel at ease that we want to hear what they are saying and shows them that we are an active listener and helps the conversation feel easier because when we express and share that we're interested in someone, that conversation can feel a lot more natural. And when the conversation feels natural, then the relationship can progress as well. And at the end of the day, your communication is a way to help you build deeper and more meaningful relationships with other people. And that is exactly what we want. So there you have it. Those are my tips for how to skip the small talk and create more meaningful connections through conversation. I hope that this was helpful. If it was, let me know down in the comments. Until next time, everybody, take care.